I'm live. I am in Nashville, Tennessee today, and I'm going to stream. Let me adjust the camera ever so slightly. And I'm going to do an AMA video or live stream, excuse me. This is something that I've seen other YouTubers do, and I have thought about it a time or two, but I've never actually done it. And it's where you ask me anything, and we talk about those things on live stream. I'm giving you some dialogue ahead of time to allow some people to jump in and things and get the chat going and all of that. So the people watching it after the stream is ended will actually not have to wade through a bunch of dead air, for lack of a better term. I didn't announce this stream, so it will probably pick up kind of slowly. Looks like somebody's here. Drop me some chats. Let's see who's here. Ah, Rot Van Rat. Rot Von Rot. How you doing? From Pattaya. Wow. There's Ray Soldano. How you doing, Ray? Nice to see you this morning. I have to read the chat over here. The camera is over here. So good morning, y'all. But yeah, this is going to be an Ask Me Anything. Of course, Ray already knows everything. But anyway, we can always talk about current events or like projects coming up that I'm working on. Or like Ray just said, when are you getting a Z8? Honestly, I don't think I will. It ain't that I don't like it. The camera's pretty epic. But if I'm going to go that close to a Z9, I'm going to pull your stunt and get a Z9. And that's what I think I'll do. Um, yeah. Honestly, rather than a Z8, I would rather have the retro, what everyone's nicknaming the ZF. I like that idea. I mean, the Z8 is a wonderful machine, and I have seen photos that it has taken at ludicrous ISO levels, and they look great. So yeah, the camera's there. Let's see what just happened. Oh, where'd my chat go? There it is. Ah, Phil's here. How you doing, Phil? Says, did you buy the Sigma 18 to 50 for the L mount? No, I have not. I haven't bought any equipment recently. Yeah, recently. um, I did get a second camera. Well, I made an offer on it. I'm trying to get a second camera for when I live stream in the studio at home, so I can do a top-down cam, and you can switch between them. And I'm just trying to get a simple little 1080p, 30 frame capable DSLR. Of course, this guy is showing up with a leaf blower. I don't know if y'all can hear him, but good Lord, he's loud to me. And of course, he needs to sweep the parking lot of the building next door right now. But let's see. Oh, yeah. Let's do live chat. There we go. Now, there we go. Oh, so you got the waterfall picture with yours. Awesome. That's cool. Because that photo was epic. It looked like there was a lot of volume of water that day. If y'all haven't seen it, Phil Thatch is in the chat. Say that slower so that it comes out right. And if you haven't done it yet, go over and give his channel a look. He does some epic wildlife photography and, wildlife and nature. And then he's got a little of everything mixed in with that as well. But you'll notice the bulk of his stuff is like typically birds. He is really enjoy his bird photography. But yeah, he's in the chat. Go over and give him some likes and subscribes. Yeah, and everybody hit the thumbs up on this video. That'll make a big difference. And if nothing else, leave a comment in the chat, because the more activity the chat gets, the more YouTube will share the video, because it believes that it's a very hot topic kind of thing, and that's a way of like gaming the system to get more people involved in the live stream. It'll propagate it out better if you do that. Yeah, all of those metrics matter. But as far as like latest acquisitions, I'm bidding on a camera on eBay for a video rig solely. That's like a dedicated machine. Yeah, I said, um, it's a Canon 60D. It'll do 1080 30p. It'll give me what I need for live streaming. Um, and I can get the kit lens, the 16, or is it 18 to 50 or whatever, the little APS-C kit lens. I can find them for like $30. So I can put together a really nice secondary camera for, 125 bucks. And it'll have zoom capability. I just need some decent light to power it. But yeah, I've looked at them on eBay and found them pretty cheap. I think I'm offering like 90 bucks for one on eBay now. Maybe they'll take me up on it. Let's see. Something just came by on the chat. Have you ever thought about a dedicated document camera? No, I haven't. Because I don't photograph documents. I just never really looked at it. Phil says an M50 might be good for that idea too. It would be excellent for it. I'm not sure that I haven't dug around. I know that that Casey Neistat loved the 60D, and then he moved to the 70D, and he did all of his video with it and had real good performance out of it. And if I'm just going to make it a static video camera, and like I said, I'll stream in 1080 since I don't need anything better than 1080. It does 1080 just fine. And they're cheap. You can buy them for little or nothing secondhand. Nice ones are like $200. And for a dedicated camera that I'm just going to leave rigged, it's perfect for that. Let's see. Oh, walk in front of the lens there. There we go. Top down shots and the ones we get for campus would be great for detail shots when you tear apart a lens. Yeah, that was one of the reasons for getting the little zoom. I haven't done the research to see what minimum focus distance on that lens is yet, but if nothing else, you could simply get a macro lens like the 40 millimeter or whatever Canon's equivalent, or get Nikon's oldest DSLR that will shoot video and one of the Nikors that does macro, and then you just make the boom where you can move it up and down, and then you can zoom in, get that macro functionality out of it. But yeah, that's a good point. I like that ideology a lot. I was just wanting it so that I could have the second camera. And like when I'm talking about stuff, I'm not trying to hold it up in front of my face and all that stuff. You can just switch to the camera that shows it, or even have the bisected screen where you got me discussing it and the top down shot shared on screen. I've seen that's pretty easy to do in OBS too, from what I understand. But or OBS as well. There's probably a Gen 2 version of that software by now. I haven't checked. But yeah, that's the latest attempted purchase. I haven't made it yet. Like I said, I made an offer. But what I've learned is you don't need the latest and greatest camera to do live streaming or simple video work. You just need one that has a decent sensor. 16 megapixels is plenty of resolution. A 10 megapixel sensor will do 1080p all day long. Of course, the older the camera gets, the more artifact driven the video is, because they do a lot of like center cutting crop video, even on the crop sensor cameras, because at the time they didn't understand how to extrapolate the full sensor readout and turn it into a 1080p video. Because what a lot of people don't understand, 1080p is HD. That's high definition video. Well, it's only 2 megapixels display. 1920 by 1080 is right at 2 megapixels. It's a very low resolution compared to what all of the camera sensors from at least 15 years ago and forward are. They're, even 8 megapixel sensors can handle 4K technically. That's what 4K is. It's 4 times 1080. So, that's the only drawback for going older and older with a camera. But I don't think it's going to be a real problem for what I'm trying to do. Jinx, LOL, oh, that's there. Hey. Geology professors love them for showing details in rocks. which is why I thought of that. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I do have several Nikkor, what do you call it, macro lenses. Man, can't spit it out. 4K is only 8 megapixels. Yep, jinx. I got it. But uh, I have the 200 millimeter macro Nikkor, and I have a 100 millimeter macro Nikkor. So I have plenty of macro functionality, but they're too long. Now I'd have to set the camera lens up way across the room and put it on some kind of counterweighted boom arm that I can pull in. That's why I was thinking about, the kit lens, and the kit lens will typically focus pretty close. It would be close enough. I mean, if you're wanting to do details like that, then maybe set up a secondary specialty camera for macro particular, or switch the lens. You know, you could always do that. Tim bought the new Canon 28 millimeter pancake lens for street. Pretty sweet right there. Um, I've seen that. I've seen the lens. I've seen there's a lot of street photographers that are looking for mirrorless cameras of today to do street with. You know, everybody typically wants the Fuji X100V, the Leica Q2 or Q3. Now everybody's jumping on the Q3 bandwagon, but they don't talk much about Nikon and Canon for street until recently. Of course, I haven't really seen many of the street photography channels I follow that use the ZFC, but several of them are starting to get into the Canons. Like they're using, what is it, the R7 and that 28 mil, and they're using is it the R6 II? I want to say, isn't it, Phil? They got an R6 Gen 2. It's a full frame. Um, they're using them. I'm starting to see stuff like that. And of course, you got the little Ricoh GR guys, um, what's the German who's half Japanese that does videos in both countries? I can't think of his name now. I follow him regularly. That's sad. I can't remember YouTuber names. Why not? Okay. Here's a good question. Jacob Jurg asked a very legitimate question. Why not use my Leica CL? Because the Leica CL is devoid of connectors. I have no way of popping that camera into the computer at all. You can connect to it with the Leica Photos app and work wirelessly there, but that's the only choice. It's literally meant to be used and then pull the memory card and move it to the computer. It's kind of hobbled in that arena. And probably one of the reasons it didn't sell very well, because Fuji and, well, everybody has a video output. Even my Z50, it's mini HDMI or micro, whatever. It's a tiny little HDMI connector, even on the Z50. And I'm filming my A roll is the Z50. That's my David cam. And I could set up the SL2. I could use it, but I just don't. What I want is I want a fairly inexpensive one that I can just leave set up, because it's really nice to have the Z50 there. I can just take the lens cap off, power it up, because I've got the little fake battery that's got a cord on it that runs to the wall. It's got a little wall charger deal that powers it constantly, and I can just power it on, launch OBS, and I have video running. And the boom mic's hooked up already. I am going to try the little wireless mic things, because they will pop into a computer. It has that functionality, so I'm going to give that a shot on the next video. That'll be kind of cool. But all that's already ready to go, so it simplifies things a lot. That's why, mainly. Let's see. Make sure. Hey, Tails here. You actually made it to a stream. Yeah, it is a bummer. I have an R6 II street video coming up using the 24 to 105 f4. 24 millimeters is almost wide enough to live stream with indoors. It honestly needs to be a little bit wider for an indoor camera. I mean, it works, but my room is small where I'm at, so the camera is literally, I can reach out. It's literally this far away. I can reach out and touch the lens. there was a time when I was running the 24 millimeter on the SL2 and I was manually focusing it by hand at arm's length, and it works, but I kind of like a little bit more person in the frame, so I like a little wider. It just seems that's why I got that 10 to 20 millimeter Nikkor, and I run it honestly at about 14 millimeters. I don't run it wide open to the widest perceived angle of view. I run it about 14 millimeters, which is about 21 ish, give or take field of view. And that seems to be about what I'm happy with when I stream. But yeah, that little lens works beautifully for that particular role. But yeah, that is a bummer about the CL. When I bought it, I knew that going in, but I didn't think about using it as a connected video camera, so it didn't make a big difference to me. And to be honest, it still really don't. I use it mainly for my travel camera. All of the photos I took in England were taken with the CL, every bit of them. And because I took it, and I took a 17 mil and a 35 millimeter prime, and that packs down into a very compact package, and I put that in a dry bag so that if we got caught in a thunderstorm, it wouldn't ruin my gear. And that's all I took, batteries and a memory card wallet. Of course, I took the Osmo Action for video. I also took my audio recorder and never used it. I learned a lot on that trip. I learned the audio from the Osmo Action will get you by. It's not ideal, but it's close enough that you don't have to have fancy audio. Just if you have a clip with a lot of wind noise, voiceover. Just I mean, there's a way to solve it. You can always just put a note on the screen that says, well, there was a lot of wind noise here, so I'm just going to tell you now from the studio what I was saying. There's ways around it, is what I have learned. And yeah, I could have saved a lot of weight. I could have really left one of those lenses at home. I honestly could have left the 17. I used it in London and then switched to the 35 once I got out of town, and I never put the 17 back on that I remember. But yeah, yes, I am using my AirPods. I'm hoping that they're working. They're connected. So Hassan's here. Hey, how you doing? And Eric Farmer's in. Hey, if y'all haven't done it yet, hit me a thumbs up and leave me a comment like Eric did, and I'm assuming Hassan did. Yep, good morning. Yeah, because the comments make a big difference propagating it out to the interwebs. Only by luck. Tell made it in. Only by luck. Let's see. No, I still have the CL. I use it regularly. Um, if I'm just wanting to grab a camera and take with me, like we're just going out for the evening or whatever, I like to grab the CL because it's small and light, and I don't normally keep it in a case. It's just sitting on the shelf. I have that rope strap on it, and I'll grab like a couple of batteries. I keep the batteries charged in a little divider box, and I'll grab a couple of batteries, put a fresh one in the camera, take the one out of the camera, drop it in the charger, and throw the other one in my pocket, and we'll just walk out the door. And it takes shockingly good photos. I mean, it's a 24 megapixel sensor, so it captures good images. It doesn't perform wonderfully in real low light unless you run long shutter speeds and give it time to absorb light, but it does okay. Okay, good. I'm glad they're working good because I wasn't sure. I tried it just to see if the audio would be better and it would give me some distance from the mic on the phone because I'm using my iPhone for my stream today. Because we are up here in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. Of course, you can't see any of that. I didn't bring a camera with me. Long story, but maybe I'll do it. I'll explain it. But I just didn't travel with a camera because it's an overnight trip and I wasn't sure of the itinerary. So what I didn't want to end up doing was leaving my camera bag in the truck in the sun baking for hours on end because it was pretty hot up here yesterday, about 92 or 3. And I just didn't want to cook my cameras. So I just left them at home because like I said, we came up here for a church function and I wasn't sure how the itinerary was going to happen. And I wasn't sure if I was going to get out and do much photography. And as of right now, we haven't. We parked downtown by the river, walked across the footbridge, walked up Broad Street, back down it, back across the footbridge. And there would have been some cool street photos if I'd have had 24, 28 millimeter, because the people they were thick since it was Friday, but it was also midday. There was a lot of people. It was very crowded. So it was a real street photography rich environment. And there was, I don't know what the deal is here, but it looked like every bachelorette party in the US or maybe even the world was happening yesterday on Broad Street. I don't know how many groups of brides to be with their bridesmaid clans that I seen go by. I have no idea. It had to be in excess of 30 or 40, maybe more. It was crazy. Everybody was doing their bachelorette party in Nashville. All of them. It was crazy. I've never seen. I, we were walking across the footbridge and went past the first group, and it was like you can always tell the bride when they're doing it, because the bride will be typically dressed in white, and then the bridesmaids will be dressed in a separate color, but they'll all be dressed the same kind of color scheme together, so you can see the group, the bridesmaids and the bride. You can see it, and some of them have sashes or whatever. The first group went by, and they were wearing like shorts, and they had cowboy hats and cowboy boots on, and it was just such an unusual scene. I was like, man, I should have got a photo of that. But then literally like 10 steps later, we run into another group. I was like, that's odd. And then we got down to the bottom of the ramp on the other side of the river, and it was like everywhere. Literally couldn't look up without seeing a bachelorette party. It was hilarious. But yeah, it was a really cool area. If you was going to come to Nashville to shoot street, a piece of your time should be dedicated to Broadway, in between the Bridgestone Arena and the river. Just walk up and down that road a few times and get you a bunch of really fun street style photos of tourists slash honky tonkers or whatever you want to call them, because they're all hitting those bars and going in listening to the country music live bands and having a cold brew and moving on, And it, like I said, it was an interesting thing to see for a little while, but it kind of I told Teresa on our way out, I was like, it would have been an interesting place to do for real, dude. I'm going to relocate because now he's coming around back with us. Um, let's see. Let's see where he's at. He may be sweeping off the sidewalk. There's the mailman. Yeah. Huh. Let's see here. He's right over there. Yeah, I see his legs through the trees. Yeah, he's right there. Dave is on the move. Yeah, I'm gonna go over here and get away from him. Yeah, you can kind of see where we are in the background here. If I go down here, I think I can get behind this wall somewhat and break the sound. This is the luxury of streaming from your iPhone. Whew. There's a little bit of jarring motion from the stabilization in the phone not being the greatest thing in the world. Oh, stepping on sticks in the yard. This ground isn't flat. There's a lot of dew in the grass. My feet will be wet in a minute. Yeah. There's all kinds of. All right, let's see. Let me flip it back around to show you. That's a B&B, and that's the Manor House. It's called the Bel Air Mansion in Nashville. It's real nice. Of course, I'm in the back area back here, but oh, hey, shut it off. Whew. Well, nah, he's not done. Can't hear it, but I can hear you good. Good, good. Yeah. Ray says that's just a typical Friday night in Nashville. And this was in the middle of the day. We was up there at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was like that. Woo! Yeah. It was crazy, the level of activity. You know, I've never seen anything in Chattanooga like that except maybe Riverbend, you know. And like Ray said, that's a typical Friday in Nashville. You know, it's just normal. Here we go. No, that don't work. Yeah, okay. Um, but it would it would get well, it's like I was telling Teresa because we was talking about it as we was walking back. I told her it would have been really interesting for about 30 or 40 minutes, about one trip through the area, and then it would have started to get redundant. Your photos would start to look the same, you know. Once you take pictures of certain subjects on Broadway, you're I mean, there's only so many things that people do on that street. And you know, there are people riding scooters, and then some of them are riding them down the sidewalk. A girl on a scooter about ran me over yesterday. She come around the corner, and here she comes in her little cowboy boots and dress and her cowboy hat on her scooter. That'd have been a cool photo had I not gotten killed getting it. But but yeah, them little rental scooters are real popular. But um, I'll move back over there if he's going to get done here in a minute. He's looks like he's going to sweep the whole parking lot with that leaf blower. But let's see here. I'm going with Heather on a business trip to Vegas next summer. We'll try some street photography there. Yeah, you'll find interesting subjects on the strip. I haven't done street photo there. I've been out there on a couple of what do you call it, conventions. We've been out there for SHOT Show 3 different years, and the things you see on that main drag, where all the big player casinos and stuff are, it's it's different. Yeah, you'll get some interesting photos. Uh, I don't know if you've ever been to Las Vegas. I don't really care to go back after you've seen it once or twice. Staying at the Venetian. Oh yeah, the Venetian's where the Sands Convention Center connects. They have a watch store. I'm big into watches, and y'all know that I'm sure at this point. And they have a store downstairs in that mall between the Venetian and the Palazzo, and it's all these exotic watch brands, and they'll have like Long and Soon watches, which are made in Germany, and they're really high end. They'll be made of platinum and palladium and all of these exotic metals, and you know, a Long and one will be like $100,000 for the base model, you know, and they'll get them out and let you handle them if you're brave enough, but yeah, it's nice to go in there and at least window shop and look at them, to see them in person instead of just on a YouTube video or something. It's kind of cool. They have all them weirdo watches, like the guy that makes the one that's a version of a Ferrari engine, and it's a little watch movement that runs, um, but it's made to look like a Ferrari engine. They do all that sort of stuff. They have all that kind of crap there too. But yeah, it's down under the stairwell. They always have. Oh, no falling down. He's now went back around the building. Now I can go back over here where I have my phone set up. But they always have that year of the Chinese critter. Whether it's year of the rooster, year of the dragon, year of the whatever. Um, yeah, he's on the other side of the property now. But they always have that huge display between the in that mall area there. That's always worth going and getting a look at and getting a photo of. It's pretty cool. But like the magic of the Venetian is that mall between the two buildings, because they have the Venetian waterways with the gondoliers. You can actually do a gondola ride, and the guy will sing to you while he pushes you down the river through the inside of the building, and it's not the ground floor. It's pretty cool. It's like I said, it's worth seeing at least once if you've never seen it. Hey, Tim's here. How you doing, Tim? Mm-hmm. You'll get your best photos on Fremont Avenue. Woo, I've never been to Fremont. Like I said, we've been out there for trade shows, so we never really wandered very far off of the strip. We would stay in a hotel within a short walk of the Sands, and we just walk over there and do the trade show, and then get a cab to the airport at the end and leave. Yeah, I've never really explored the city much. If y'all haven't done it yet, hit me a thumbs up, give me a like, and if you're watching the stream, drop some kind of a comment in the comment section, because YouTube likes to see comments. It shows more interaction, and if you do that, then it'll actually allow this stream to propagate out onto the internet, and we'll get more people. Fremont is old Vegas. Oh, okay. That's the old strip. Yeah, I would like to ride up there and see that during the day. I don't know that I want to go at night. I mean, maybe. Oh, great. He's coming back. He's sweeping under all the cars. Ah, good morning, Scott. Thank you for dropping in. Maybe, let's see. Trying to figure out where I can go to, because now he's working his way back down the other side of the parking lot back to me. Oh, yeah, yeah. This is Ask Me Anything. He's just messing with you now. Showing my end. Yeah. Oh, it's doubling down. Look here. Let me just, let's see. Oh, there's 3 of them. They're like hornets. Let's see. See them 2 there in the parking lot? Look, there's one, there's one. There's another one over here behind this tree. Leaf blowers. Yeah, I think they know. I'll go around here. I get behind these cedar bushes. That'll dampen a lot of the sound. See there? Let me show you. See these cedars? I'll go on the other side of them. That'll absorb a lot of the sound and make it a lot better. We're staying in this building on the other side of it. Yeah, there we go. Problem solved. Now, I'll just hang out here for a minute. And when I hear them spooling down after they finish that parking lot, I'll go back. It's kind of quiet back there because up here, that's the main highway. You can see the cars going by right there. So it's a lot of road noise up here. And the interstate is literally right over there going by like 90 degrees to this road. So you got a lot of interstate traffic too right over there. So that's why I ain't coming around to the front of the manor house. Let's see. He's just messing with you now. Good. I ain't got to see your latest video yet, Tim. I've been driving all day yesterday, and we've been up here busy on stuff. Good afternoon from Newcastle, England. Mr. P, thank you for dropping in. Thumbs up would be great. I'd like to see 10 thumbs up before this stream ends. And I'm up to 7 is what it says. Tim's about the Pancake 28. Yeah, Tim. So rumor has it you got a 28 millimeter lens for your street photography. So which camera are you going to put it on? The R6? So here's a question, Dave. When are we going out shooting together again? That's a really good question. Let's see. This week, what are you doing Tuesday? I might be free Tuesday. Shoot me a message. Should be free Tuesday. I'm pretty sure. Maybe not, but I may be. Maybe in the afternoon at least. So, hit me up. We'll figure it out. Here lately, it's been Tuesdays for me. It's been my off days. Dude, they are wound out on those daggum leaf blowers. But here lately, I have been doing a lot of, I've been working on a lens review. Hassan loaned me 2 of his lenses. The Sigma Primes for L mount they're on a different level. I'll just go ahead and give you a little bit of a spoiler from the videos that's to come. And I have found that Sigma has super up their game. The last time I had a Sigma lens was the 150 to 500, something like that. And the super telephoto zoom they made. And it was soft. It just wouldn't take sharp photos. And I sold it to, I actually traded it to, I think it was Adorama. Might have been B&H, one of the two, and I got the 200 to 500 in the trade. I swapped it in, got the 200 to 500 Nikkor, paid a little difference, and that lens was stunning. Used it forever and had no regrets buying it. Ha! I think they're done. I'll give them a minute. So once I had that one bad experience with Sigma, I basically wrote them off and just decided not to buy any more of their lenses. Well, I say that was a bad decision because I've been shooting the last 2 or 3 days with that 65 millimeter f2 that Hassan has loaned me, and that thing is crazy good. The autofocus speed's good. You can tell it's a little different. It's like the technology is slightly different from the Leica lenses because of the way it autofocuses. It'll move back and forth about one and a half or 2 times, and then it settles and it's on. It's laser on. So I've been learning how to use autofocus modes in the camera for like street photography. It's not as easy as single point, which is what I'm used to using for very staticky kind of subjects, or pre-focusing in an area with back button focus and just waiting on a subject to pass through it. Like I was trying to do panning blurs and I kept missing because I had it on single point and didn't realize I had moved the focus point off the center point. So as I panned, I was focused on the background and completely missed the focus on several panning blur photos. But once I figured that out, yeah, good, they're gone now. For real. Oh, okay. They're done. They're just getting the last little remnants. There we go. Whew. All right. Let's see what's coming. I'm retired. Every day is an off day. Ray says, I haven't used a Sigma lens for 7 days. R6 Mark II. Yep. Oh, okay. Nice. So that's your street rig now. Jacob says, I had very good experience with the Sigma 100 to 400 versus good value for the money. See, I'm pretty sure either I got a bad copy or this was right when Sigma was starting to work with the L Mount Alliance thing. And, up till then, this was probably 2013. Well, it was whatever year the 200 500 came out. What was that 13, 14, maybe 15? I don't know. It's been 8 or 9 years ago. It was a while. Phil says, I haven't used a Sigma lens since Thursday. Before that, years and years. Yeah. Ray and Aaron both showed me that Tamron lenses have come a long way. Now, was it the 70 to 200, the Tamron that Ray used? That thing took stellar photos. And then Aaron, he's been using Tamron glass on his Nikon cameras from the outset, and he does some gorgeous photography with those lenses. He's gotten really into the low light storm, lightning arc, storm fronts moving through up there in Indiana where he's at, and he's gotten some stunning landscape photos, and they're all shot on Tamron glass. And so, yeah, I've seen that Tamron's come a long way too. Ray says Tamron needs to hurry with the 35 to 150, 2 to 2.8 for Z mount. Didn't somebody say that Nikon released the tech data for the Z mount so that people can like make them autofocus and stuff? I'm pretty sure I heard that happened. I don't know for certain, but I'm thinking it did. I know that the L mount is open source because Sigma, of course, Panasonic and Leica are all in it together, but you can get L mount lenses by a bunch of people. Tamron did announce it. Good. That's awesome. I feel kind of odd to not have a camera with me today and doing a live stream about cameras. Move that back. Oh, we got 12 thumbs up. Dude, Whoever's still here, if you haven't hit that thumbs up button, reach down there with your mouse and click on it. That'll be epic. If you click the thumbs down, you have to click it twice for it to take. Yeah, I know. I tried using it to do street photography yesterday, and the pictures just didn't look right. I'm sorry, they just didn't. They look more like tourist photos than street photography. Hassan says Samyang is now part of the L Mount Alliance. That's awesome. I haven't ever used a Samyang lens that I'm aware of. I have tried a Young No. I bought one of those, but it failed on me shortly after I got it, and I sent it back to Amazon. I don't remember what happened. I don't remember if it stopped focusing or something failed in it. It was one of those little autofocus 50 millimeters, like a 50 f2 or 51.8. I bought it. It's been 2 or 3 years now. But yeah, I got it from Amazon because it was dirt cheap. And I thought, hey, here's an easy lens to review. And I like 50s. And it literally failed on me out of the box. I sent it back. And I never even did the video. Tamron now has an alliance with Nikon. The version 2 Tamron 70 to 180 2.8 for Sony is with the help from Nikon? What? Well, you know, Nikon and Sony have kind of been mutually beneficial business partners for a long time. I mean, all their sensors, pretty much, everybody will go, Tower Jazz, Tower Jazz. The bulk of Nikon's sensor tech is made by Sony. Everybody knows it. It's just common knowledge. Most likely, Leica sensors are manufactured by Sony to Leica spec, and probably it's a generic sensor that they either put they make well, they call it microprism lens. It goes over the sensor itself that has special optics that somehow is the last lens element prior to contacting the sensor surface with the photons. And the way I understand it, Leica makes that piece, and then they have their processing engine and their software, and that's where all the magic they have happens. But the sensors themselves are made by Sony, from what I understand it. There's no proof, but there's only so many companies that make sensors, and they can't get them but from just a place or two. And it is known that they don't make their own sensors, that they don't have a sensor manufacturing facility. So they're probably Sony. Crazy, right? Yeah. Um, Rot von Rot, Rot van von Rat, excuse me. Man, I have to pay attention to, whoa, what's going on there? I have to pay attention to that languaging of that username. It's kind of hard to say because of my southern drawl. But it says the problem with third-party lenses, oh, come on, is that they don't work when you buy a new camera. Yeah, sometimes if the focus architecture does change, then it can cause a problem. That is true. And the native glass, the firmware written for the new camera will have backwards compatibility written into it for native glass. That's a big thing. And I remember Ray worrying about his lenses not working when he got his new camera. And I'm pretty sure that was one of the reasons you waited as long as you did, wasn't it, Ray? Before you got your Z9, was you wanted to confirm that your lenses would work. Because when he made the transition, he had F mount glass and he didn't have any Z mount glass at that point. So yeah, my Gen 1 Tamron and Sigma lenses did not work. He says so. So yeah, and I know that was a reservation he had going into it. And then sure enough, he said that they didn't work when they transitioned. That's a good point. And that's something that, yeah, if you're going to use them a long time and maybe you're comfortable with a very particular model camera, say you're a D850 shooter, or, you're a 5D Mark IV Canon shooter, and you just love that camera. And there's no reason for you in the work you do to upgrade to mirrorless or even to a 1DX Mark II or whatever. You're gonna shoot 5D Mark IIs, and the internet is thick with used ones, so there's plenty of availability for years to come. there's no reason to not use third-party lenses, because you can still get the camera bodies. You drop your 5D Mark IV and break it, get on eBay, literally 30 minutes later from usephotopro.com, here comes another 5D Mark IV for reasonable money. It's pretty easy to do. You know, if you're, that's something that Martin Castaigne's been doing a lot here lately, is he still shoots with a original 5D, the Mark I Canon 5D, and he takes beautiful portraiture with that camera, beautiful portraiture. And he did it on purpose. He bought like that old camera and like I don't remember if it's a 35-1.8 or a 50-1.4 or 50. It's like a nifty 50, but that fits the sensor size of the 5D. I don't remember if the original 5D is crop sensor or full frame. I just don't know. But he got that little kit together, and he's going to start doing like videos with that camera kit. And that way you can see that even today, those really old cameras take really good photos, you know. So you're not obligated to buying, $8,000-9,000 worth of camera gear to get good images. And that's what his point of that is, and for working pros, I also understand the value in not upgrading your models. If your camera is already however many megapixels, like, the D850 is 47. 47 megapixels is a lot of megapixels. And the D850 takes beautiful photos. I've seen pictures from the D850. Beautiful images. There's a bunch of horns blowing over at this main road. If I was, say, for instance, an event photographer of some kind, I shot wedding receptions or, retirement parties or whatever, and that was my thing, I would have a couple of backup D850s. I'd have two D850s I shot with, one with a 24-70 and one with a 70-200. That way you don't have to worry about switching lenses, and you can get everything from 24 to 200 millimeters by just lifting a different camera. And then I'd buy two more as spares, so that if I broke one, I could literally pull the battery out of the broke one, shove it in this other one, and I'd already have cloned them so they're all identical. You just move the lens over and back to work you go. I mean, and you can still get them. It's just, it's crazy. Let's see. Ray says, come on, most of us photographers aren't reasonable. Jacob says, only use vintage glass, manual focus, problem solved. I've been using manual focus a lot here lately. I've really gotten into those TT Artisan manual primes. That 35095 is a beautiful little lens. It's almost impossible to get focused at 0.95. The depth of field is literally the thickness of a sheet of paper. But if you stop it down any at all, it's laser sharp, and you can stop it down 2 stops and you're at f1.4 or something like that, or f2. It's 2 stops, stop down, so you can still get super shallow depth of field and laser sharp photos. And the lens is very small. It's just a tiny thing. That's the one I used in England for most of my photos. Once we got to Winchester and all the way to Canterbury, I shot it with that 35-095. And I normally had it stopped down to f8 because I wanted depth of field. I wanted everything in focus because I didn't want to blur out parts of it. I wanted to see it all in the photos. So yeah, I shot almost all of it. Some of the particularly sunny parts, I'd probably stop down to f11, truth be known. Let's see. 5D is full frame. 50 millimeter 1.8 is what you mean. Okay. Thank you, Jacob. Let's see. I read that somewhere, and now I can't find it. Maybe crazy. Oh, yeah, and then he found it. Nikon rumors. The just announced Tamron 70 to 180 millimeter 2.8 Di3 VC VXD G2 lens for Sony E is developed, manufactured, and sold under the license agreement with Nikon Corporation. That's pretty smooth. So yeah, that's a very That's a very interesting lens. I understand, shortening the telephoto in a little bit, it'll make the lens a lot smaller. Blew my mind when I read that. Yeah, they're just getting lens technology from Nikon, probably focus technology too, if I had to guess, like how the focus motors interact. Because if I'm right, that's a self-contained lens, isn't it? There's no external moving parts like the Z glass. It's an internal focus. I've seen pictures of that lens, and like you said, it's about the perfect, like, indoor slash, it would be like the perfect wedding reception lens because it allows you to get some telephoto past 70, you know, but not that, because 200 is a little much for an indoor venue. It really is. No one, if I'm aware of, shoots at 200 millimeters indoors. Hassan says Samyang should be releasing the 35 to 150 for L mount soon. That'll be cool. I do. Ray is an anomaly though. You got to understand, Ray isn't normal. Ray also wants that 120 to 300 Nikkor. You want to go to Amazon and just click buy now. Just click that yellow button. It'll be in at your doorstep in just a matter of hours. Not for 10K. No, it won't be 10K. It'll be about 11 after taxes and stuff. So catch it on Amazon Prime Day. I'd buy another Z9 and use my Sigma. You want it. That's the way the Nikon marketing is. Look at this beautiful lens. You want it. Order it now. I don't know where all the people that are staying in this B&B are at. Like, I'm out here in this little courtyard area. They've got all these little kind of courtyard areas so that you can do like wedding receptions, maybe even weddings. Let me just show you. Um, you got this little goes down to a little area where you could do, like, you could exchange the vows right there. This has a table and it's under a area. So if it starts to rain, way over there in that corner is like a stone patio area with a bunch of like roses and azaleas and things. You have this whole upper level here where you could put up a huge tent that's dead level that has steps coming down to this area. You know, you can see that they've kind of set it up for wedding receptions and things, but there is nobody outside. Our room's on the other side of that building. It has 4 rooms in it, I guess. But there's the main house, and then it has some additional rooms. Then it has the garden guest house here, and I don't know. I guess that's the maintenance shed. But yeah, nobody's outside but me, which is kind of strange. I would have figured there'd be people outside by now. It's it's trying to cloud up. There's a front moving in from the west that's a little bit to the north of us, but I'm pretty sure it's going to rain some here before it's over said and done. And you can kind of tell the sky's darker that way. Look at this. Let me just switch it around and show you. You see there's hardly any clouds in the sky. Okay. And as we come around, more clouds to, we go over here. Yeah. You can see bright sky, more clouds, dark sky. Yeah. It's super dark. Yeah. It's overcast, and you can see the fronts moving in. You can see it all right along the horizon. Who knows? Let's see. There's a note. What happened? If you're just now joining the stream, give me a thumbs up. I'm going to keep saying that periodically. And leave me a comment, because the comments apparently matter as much as the thumbs up do. Let's see. Sleeping in from a bachelorette party last night. Sleep, catching up on your sleep. Let's see. Phil says, I want the Canon RF 100 to 300 2.8, but won't spend the money. Woo! And a 300 millimeter f2.8 would be crazy. Yeah, massive lens. There. Mr. P says, been trying a lot of old Nikon manual focus lenses lately, and I'm just starting to nail the focus. The 105 2.5, the 135 3.5, and the 28 3.5. Very impressed with the quality of all these lenses. The 105 2.5 is, and it's a stellar lens. I I actually sold mine here a while back to fund, I don't remember what it was I bought. I got another piece of glass with it, but it went with some of the stuff that I sent to Roberts because I wasn't using it and I didn't want it to sit in the cabinet and just sit there. And since I wasn't shooting it, I thought I'll sell it to Roberts and somebody, maybe you, yeah, can use it and actually get some service out of it. Mine wasn't a perfect copy anyway, but it took beautiful photos. But that lens, I love the size and the reproduction. It's just hard to describe. If if I was going to recommend a 28, it'd be the 28 millimeter AIS f2.8 from the late 80s. That, yeah, that was thunder. Thought I was what I was hearing, but no, that's the airport. That's a daggum jet taking off. Okay, but I have that lens too. And if you like 28s, that's the lens to get. The 3.5 is smaller and lighter. If you're worried about weight and you shoot stop down anyway, then the 3.5 is actually a better choice. But because, like, I have a 28 f3.5 Pentax lens that I shoot on my SL2 pretty frequently, actually. And it works beautifully because I stop it down. I'm shooting street in Chattanooga with it, so I'll run it on f8 and run, you know, range focus with it, and so I can just snap photos. Occasionally I'll focus, but normally I run it range focused, and it's good for that. It's really good. So that lens performs really well in that role. But if if you're going to get one and you're going to do anything else, like, even, I know it seems kind of strange to do portraits with 28, but it works. If you play with it a little bit, you can get some really cool portraiture with a 28 millimeter, and you want that 2.8. It's, it gets you to where you can speed your shutter speed up some, you can freeze action better. But yeah, those longer lenses that you're picking, those are epic. That 135 is pretty neat. I have a couple of 135s, and I don't use them a lot. I get them out on occasion, and I do get them out and play with them a little. They're really, really, really good for portraiture. And if you play with them a lot, like you said, you get to where you can hit focus with them pretty good. And what's beautiful about the longer glass is that it starts. That's rain. Looks like the camera's out of the rain. So you can actually get far enough away from the subject that you deepen the depth of field at f2.8 to where you can get good sharp focus on the face. Whereas portraiture, you can ask Phil. The rule of the day is, with portraiture, you absolutely want the eye in focus. And the rule is the nearest eye to the camera, and because it matters. You don't want blurry eyes in a portrait. It just don't look right. The human mind can't wrap itself around that. So you definitely want to make sure you can get that eye in focus. What I like about modern cameras, like the mirrorless ones, you can zoom in the EVF and do detail focus with a manual focus lens. And I do that pretty regular. It's hard to do on a moving subject. It's almost impossible. But, that's why I do range focus out in the field. But if I'm doing photos of static subjects, I'll zoom in, mag focus, and get it nice and crisp and clear, and then take the picture and then review it to confirm that I got what in focus I wanted. If I'm using an old manual lens, I'll do that pretty much every time. It looks like I'm chimping, which I guess I am, but I'm just confirming focus, for photos for specific reasons. But my street stuff, I rarely ever look at them till I get home. I'll just shoot to the card, because I found out the hard way, reviewing in the field, even when you look around, because it happened to me a bunch of times. Then that's what taught me. You look around, make sure there's nothing going on. So, all right, I got a second. You turn on review. Well, it's bright and sunny, so you look through the EVF and you can review like that. It works great. and I'm reviewing photos, and then I pull the camera down and something cool goes by that I missed completely because I was looking at my photos in the camera instead while out shooting. So I've gotten to where now I don't even review them unless, you go to a coffee shop, maybe me and Tim are sitting there talking and drinking a cup of coffee after we've been out walking around shooting photos, and we just want to kind of go through them together and kind of see what we grab. That's different. But reviewing on the fly, I've quit doing it. I just no. I've learned the hard way that I miss too much going on in the environment because it's too fluid of an environment, and it changes so quickly that I miss photos if I do it out in the field. So yeah, it doesn't matter. Works perfectly that way. Well, that long-winded diatribe. Let's see what's happened here. Rot von Rat says, I will be buying the ZF when it comes out. I already know it will be a thing of beauty. I'm with you, brother. I'm going to do the same thing. I have been wanting that camera ever since I found out the not the ZF, the DF existed. I had already bought my D810 when I learned about the DF, so I never bought a DF. Yeah, it's about to rain. Can you hear it? You hear it on the roof? And the thunder? That is thunder. That's not a jet. We are in the approach of the airport, but that's actually thunder. Yeah, it's not supposed to rain here today. Literally raining right now. I'm pretty sure the camera's in the dry. The corner of this roof you see behind me points out right behind the camera, so I'm pretty sure it'll stay dry as long as it don't get the blowing wind or something. But yeah, that ZF is really has my attention. Um, I'm really interested in that camera. Um, but it'll need to have a couple of things. And I have a live stream from last week where I talk about the things that I need and the things that I want in that camera. It'll need 3 things in particular. And I would really be happy if it had all, I think, 8 of the items on my wish list. But yeah, if it don't have IBIS, I won't buy it. It's got to have IBIS. But I've gotten to the point, I shoot so much vintage glass that without IBIS, it's kind of pointless. I mean, that gives me image stabilization with a vintage lens. And I have that with my SL2. So why would I go backwards at this point? That's the way I see it. The old XT3 I shot with didn't have IBIS. And I got mostly sharp photos, but I really should have got the XH1 because it had it. And I could have shot the same lenses on the XH1. But I wanted that retro look, I can wander around that circle for a while. Jacob says the pre-AI 50mm 1.4 or f2 Nikors are great as well. I have that lens. The one that doesn't have the provision on the aperture ring for auto indexing. It's just solid all the way around and won't even mount on a camera made after about 1974. It binds. And that's an unprecedented feature of the DF. You can connect pre-AI lenses and meter them correctly. Curious if the ZF will do so as well. What the DF will do is it'll meter off the sensor, so it doesn't need to meter off of the lens. So it doesn't matter what lens you attach, it'll just meter from the atmospheric light coming through the lens, and yeah, it'll meter. So you have the AI50 f2. That's cool. Yeah, I bought some lenses and a camera from a gentleman down the road from me. Actually, I gave the camera to a viewer. It was an old Nikon. I don't remember the model now. It had a light meter in it, but it had been dropped on the pentaprism, and the sheet metal was banged up. But when you look through it, it still looked fine. But the camera just looked rough. But it seemed to take okay pictures, and I wasn't shooting it, and I gave it to a viewer, and I can't remember who it was now. But I had that camera and 3 or 4 primes, and the 51.4 was one of them, and they were all pre-AI. With you on the IBIS, hope for big pixels. not interested in high megapixels for a vintage look. Yeah, that's something else I'm looking for. Is I would like to see 24 megapixels personally, because then you got a low, it's kind of like the Z6 works good in low light, to where the Z7 works good in good light with high resolution. Um, since my SL2 is 47 megapixels, it's not super great in low light. It just isn't. It's a fact. And my Z50, if you scale those megapixels, Phil even showed this to me. It's like 45 equivalent, so it's the same size photo sites. And then, man, there's a lot of atmospheric noise here. It's funny. It quit raining, so the shower blew in and then blew back out. But the clouds are just coming in darker and darker. um, where was I? Oh, the size sensors. So basically, all of my sensors are high megapixel count sensors. They're high density sensors. The CL is 24, which scales up to like 50 or 60. If you scale it to full frame and you get your density, so you can see roughly how big the photo sites are, they're all about the same. That's why I was really hoping this thing will come out with a 24 megapixel backside illuminated sensor, and it'll have IBIS. That would be the magic for me. I would be stoked to see that camera with that. And yeah, you'll start seeing activity with that on my channel for sure. I almost said something, but I think I'm going to restrain myself from saying it. 54 megapixels is 24 scaled up. Yeah, that makes sense. I knew it was a lot. I just didn't know the exact number. I knew it was pretty dense, because like the XT3 sensor was 26.2 or something, and it wound up being a little over 60 equivalent pixels, 60 megapixel if you scaled it to full frame. I was kind of surprised that they had such a pixel dense sensor. It took beautiful photos. I love the XT3, other than the, what was it, the ISO knob, the spring ball detent in it, whatever it is, the detent, maybe it's a wave spring, one of the two. Um, whatever that detent device is, it starts getting sticky. I wound up lubing mine with some type of an oil. I don't remember what it was now. It was a special oil, like a Teflon oil. I put just a little bit on that joint and worked it in, and the problem solved itself after that. I didn't have any more trouble out of that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that one's a jet. All those bugs on the column behind David are busy. There's bugs. Oh, I see the ants. Man, you can see them on the video. Oh, you can. They're right there. Oh, look at that. That's funny. I didn't even notice them. Oh yeah, here comes a bigger one. That's funny. That's thunder. It's mixed with the jets. Ray is watching on a bigger screen than me, I guess. Yeah, I don't know what I'm streaming in. I might be streaming in HD, might be streaming in 4K. I don't know what this thing's sending up to YouTube. Probably 1080. Um, I haven't checked. 720? Okay. I didn't know. And it's still that defined, even with just 720p, which is technically, that's the original HD, isn't it? With you on the IBIS, hope for big pictures. Yeah. Okay. Making sure I ain't missed anything. No, I'm listening. All right. Let's see here. Any more questions? I have to check for questions, because this is an Ask Me Anything video or stream. Yeah, if you haven't done it yet, hit me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Have you reviewed the Nikon AIS 105 f 1.8 manual focus? Just wondering because I'm considering getting hold of one. Once you start buying these old lenses, you can't stop. LOL. No, I have not. The fastest 105 that I've ever handled is the 105 f2 DC Nikkor. I still have it. I use it pretty regular, actually. I have a very specific thing I use it for, and it works wonderfully for that. Even with manual focusing it on the SL2, that lens is beautiful. Its rendering is just amazing, and I shoot it wide open just so I get good light gathering with it. That's the reason I like it, because it's f2. But um, but I haven't never seen in my hand or in person or however you say it the f1.8s or the f1.4s. I've never seen them. So no, I haven't reviewed them. But I have reviewed. I have a f4 105 f4 micro Nikkor, wonderful lens, and you can get them pretty cheap since they're smaller glass. You know, the elements are smaller, so they're not quite as desirable, and they're manual focus. But if you're shooting macro anyway, you're manually focusing. You know, maybe Phil doesn't, since he's out shooting insects with that big bright flash he's carrying with him. He's probably auto focusing. I'm not sure, but he'll let me know because he's in the comments. But yeah, I don't know for sure. But I would recommend one of them if you can get the 105 f1.8, you know, for good money. I would have one. I ain't gonna say that I wouldn't own one, because that's a nice focal length as well as a nice aperture. I mean, it gives you a lot of light gathering. So you use both? Okay. Yeah, I shot all of my macro with manual focus. Even when I had like the D810 and I was shooting a 200 millimeter and I did that comparison video, I even shot them then manual. I did everything manual focus. The closer in, the more likely it's manual. Okay, that makes sense. Um, that's what I liked about when I was using the Z6 and the 200 millimeter doing product photography. You do focus zoom, and then you could get it laser sharp on the product, and then just press the shutter and then capture the image. You know, and typically I cheat. I'm gonna give y'all an inside tip. If you're doing product photography with a white background, here's something to do to to help you get the image, especially with modern cameras. This works really well with modern cameras, and this is how I do it. I'm typically shooting a manual focus lens. I shoot long glass to get good compression on the product so it doesn't distort the box or what have you. So I get as far away as I can, and that way the product looks more natural, you know. Because if you're shooting with, like, say, a 35, a square box is going to get warped because of the natural tendency of anything inside 50 to start distorting the image. And for you to fill the frame, you have to get closer and closer. So, you know, you just start warping it more and more. It bends it, and it doesn't look natural. So I shoot as long of a lens as I can stand in the event, the space I'm working in, whether it's 100 millimeter or 200. I shoot as long as possible to minimize distortion. Then I will I will shoot with lights. I'll shoot flash. I have studio strobes that I do my product photos with. I have two big studio strobes with soft boxes. And that way I kill as much of the shadows as possible. Since I'm trying to do them on white backgrounds for the internet, I want the white. I want all the light I can get on the image or on the product. Well, you can't see to compose, because once you stop down to, say, f11, because I don't do focus stacking. I try to do it in one photo. So I'm shooting f11, f16, somewhere in there. Well, once you stop down to that point at, you know, ISO 100, ISO 200, whatever, the image is black. So I'll reach up and hit auto ISO. It's just one click normally on about any camera to go from auto to base ISO. So I'll hit the ISO button, click it to auto. Well, it'll immediately go to ISO 12,000, and then it'll brighten up the image, and you can see what you're doing. You focus magnification, get your focus like you want, hit the ISO button, click it to base ISO, fire the frame. Now you're firing the flashes, and you get the illuminated subject like you wanted, and it gives you an easy way to compose in auto ISO while using manual ISO so you can control the light with the flash. You know, it works real good for me. That's a little tip I figured out along the way, shooting manual glass. Because then, you know, I mean, if you're shooting autofocus glass, just back button focus, you're done. Can y'all hear that thunder? That's thunder. Rot Van Rat says, what is your favorite camera lens, David? Depends on the subject. Here lately, it's been the SL2 with the 28 millimeter Pentax Asahi optical f3.5 manual lens from, it's an M42 lens, so I'm assuming it's from the 60s. That's what I do most of my street photography with. And then if I do Sacred Harp singings, I shoot my 105 f2 DC Nikkor on the SL2. I have a setting, a memory function set up just for that, so that when I mount that lens, I load that preset and it loads the camera with all the data and sets all the settings like I like. I'll normally have to do, I do dipper white balance because every venue, whether it be a school auditorium or a church house or someone's den, wherever we are, the light temperature is always different. So I'll just go to the white balance, go down to the dipper, find something white in the room, grab my white balance, and then I've set my white balance. That's all. I've learned to do that. It's just simpler that way. And then I'll watch. If sunlight starts to spill through a window as time passes through the day, I'll reset the white balance about every couple of hours. You know, because as the sunlight comes into the room, it will dope the white balance, and everything suddenly starts turning yellow. You know, but yeah. And then general just walk around photography. I have the SL2 with the 50 millimeter SL prime. I got the 50 Summicron or the 50 f2, and that's my general purpose wander around lens. It used to be the CL, but I have grown to like the IBIS and the SL2. The camera's bigger and heavier, but man, IBIS is so nice because I do a lot of stuff like, and Phil can attest to this, they do a lot of panning blurs. So I'm doing a lot of real slow shutter speeds. I shoot a lot at low light. If you go to my Instagram, a lot of times you'll see night photos of me taking pictures of buildings. A lot of that crap's handheld. I can handhold the SL2. Literally, I've done it with 1 second shutter speeds, and the picture look good. It's pretty darn good at its ability to stabilize an image. You know, there's other cameras that do just that fine, but I like the SL2. I like the ergonomics, the way it interacts with the human is great to me. I just enjoy it. I'm really looking forward to this ZF though, because it'll have a lot of human interaction functionality built into it too. So that's me. I've tried to explain this to some people because they'll ask me, why did you get the SL2 and instead of a Z9? Because honestly, Z9 is a better camera, hands down. It wins in every measurable way. It really does, except price. I think it's actually cheaper, to be fair. But it's the interaction with the camera. I enjoy using it. Oh, that's a car. I thought I could hear raindrops. These headphones mess with me. But I enjoy the kinesthetic interaction with the device. And for me, the SL2 and the CL, it's very similar, but it's a little different. It's more of that rangefinder kind of layout, which I ain't super stoked about, but it works. I can adapt to it really fast, but I really enjoy the actual kinesthetic interaction. And knobs are fun to me. And like my D810, it worked fine, you know, and it done a great job, and it was a workhorse of a camera. It took beautiful photos, but it just wasn't super fun to use. That's why I fell in love with the XT3 when I bought it. I used that camera for 3 years, something like that. And for a YouTuber, that's an eternity to have one camera, you know. But yeah, I'm real big into the into the feel of the camera and how it is to handle when you're using it. The brand isn't super critical to me, although I do like the Leica, the brand that Leica is. I like their cameras personally. They don't work for other people. They just don't work. And if I'm shooting wildlife, I don't take my Leicas. I actually use my Z50 and the 500 millimeter phase Fresnel lens, which is normally on the top shelf of my office. And that's well, it's a Nikkor lens, of course, but that's what I do wildlife photos with. I don't use the Leicas for wildlife because they don't perform well doing that. They really don't. Um, if you look up dedicated Leica shooters that are really, 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 really into Leica, they'll shoot wildlife with them. But I'll be honest with you, Canon and Nikon wildlife shooters come away with a lot more keepers. It's just a fact. I mean, look at Phil's hit rate. His photos are stunning, and he wanders between Nikon and Canon, maybe Sony, maybe. Don't know how long he'll live with that Sony machine before he goes back to his Canon. But David's giving us all his secrets today. Yeah. I forgot your APS-C Leica doesn't have IBIS. Yeah, neither does my Z50 I'm aware of. You might not like the Sigma 18 to 52.8. I keep recommending it isn't stabilized. That doesn't bother me too much with that camera. I normally get sharp photos anyway because I'll speed the shutter up just to counteract it. You run 1/500th of a second. Shutter shock really isn't an issue. I mean, it's 2 milliseconds is pretty quick. In broad daylight, I can give it 1/1000th of a second shutter and completely eliminate camera shake from the equation. I thought that lens had some built into it. I didn't know that. Maybe it does. But yeah. Let's see. Any other questions that I haven't answered yet? If you haven't noticed, I have picked back up on my activity on the channel. Looking at getting a new channel going that has to do more with amateur radio. We're working on that in the background right now. We want to do stuff that's a little different from what the other amateur radio channels kind of lean into. So it may end up working out. It may end up flopping because we don't do constant gear reviews on it. But we're wanting to do a channel there. And like I said, we've kind of camped on a channel and got one set up, but we really haven't started the content for it yet. But I am going to pick up the pace on my photography channel again. I've gotten it back kind of moving. I've gotten footage for the 65 millimeter review. I haven't got the 90 out of the box yet, but I have shot some with the 65, and I was completely impressed with that lens. So expect a glowing review of that lens to come. It impressed me a lot. Kind of a spoiler at the 83-minute mark. Anybody watches this stream after I've uploaded it and watches it 83 minutes in, we'll get a spoiler for the next video to come out. And I've got at least one, maybe two more England hiking trip videos to put together. I got to get those uploaded. I got to get us to Canterbury. Can't just leave you hanging halfway to Canterbury. But got a lot going on. Plus, I got some other stuff I'm wanting to start working towards, like street photography videos. I really like these mics that I did. But looks like it's about to start raining. But yeah, I got a lot coming up. There's a lot coming up. I may have to decide what I want to keep, David, the 65 or the 90. So far right now, it's the 65 hands down. It's the most versatile. The 90, I haven't, like I said, I ain't even got it out of the box yet, but it's coming. That'll be a review coming out soon too. Not sure I need both. Love the England videos. Looking forward to the updates. Cool. That's awesome. Let me check something. The lack of IBIS helps it stay small. Yeah. Oh, they left it out of the lens to keep the size of the lens minimized. Okay. That makes sense. All right. I think I'm going to wrap this video up, guys. I think Teresa's ready to go get some lunch. So we've been going for 85 minutes on what was supposed to be a 1-hour video. We always have so much fun, it runs over every single time. Just seems like it just goes by so quick. But if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section and I will get to them and answer them. If you have a specific gear question that you know I happen to have, I'm happy to answer those questions. You can also email me at georgiaphotog@gmail.com. It's always there. Thank you, Jacob, for dropping in, and everybody else that came to the video that I haven't got to see, like Tell and Rot Van Rant. Ulrich, just missed you. I guess I'll watch this later. Hope you're all good. Thank you for dropping in, Ulrich. I haven't seen you in age. But yeah, if there's anything I can help you with, just let me know. I'll be happy to help you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Y'all take care. Let's see. How do I? Ooh, that was bright. Did y'all see that lightning flash? Oh, this is David, the Georgia photographer. And what am I going to tell you to do? Get your camera out and go take a picture with it. Until later. We'll see y'all soon. Be careful. Bye-bye. The rain's picking up.